Ever walked into a store only to find empty shelves where your favorite groceries used to be? You're not alone. With climate disasters shaking up farming, global supply chains stretched to their limits, and constant uncertainties looming, it's becoming harder to predict what we'll see or won't see in stores next month. But here's the thing, being prepared can make all the difference. That's why in today's video, we're breaking down 12 grocery products that could potentially vanish from shelves in the coming weeks. These aren't luxuries, these are essentials you and your family rely on daily. Whether it's due to disruptions from floods, droughts, or supply shortages, knowing what to stockpile right now might save you from stress and frustration later. Stick around because we're here to help you step ahead of the chaos and stay ready. Let's jump into the list. 1. The pasta predicament. Have you ever gone to grab a box of pasta at your local store only to find empty shelves staring back at you? It might not have hit your pantry yet, but pasta could soon be one of the hardest items to find. This kitchen staple, a lifeline for quick dinners and comfort meals, is deeply reliant on stable wheat production. Here's the catch. Wheat crops worldwide are under siege from climate challenges and logistical hiccups. To begin with, wheat is highly susceptible to unpredictable weather patterns such as droughts or floods that can drastically reduce yield. Add to that supply chain disruptions caused by worker shortages, transportation delays, and even increasing demand worldwide, and you've got a recipe for scarcity. Think about it. Every box of pasta on your shelf has a backstory involving careful farming, harvesting, milling, and manufacturing. When any part of this process falters, the ripple effects are felt in supermarkets everywhere. But pasta's appeal doesn't stop with its availability. What makes it truly worth stockpiling is its versatility and long shelf life. Pasta fits into so many meals, from spaghetti bolognese to casseroles and even pasta salads. Its durability makes it easy to store for months without worrying about spoilage, which makes it invaluable during uncertain times. You can get creative with sauces, vegetables, or whatever you've got on hand for endless meal combinations. If you're thinking ahead, this is the time to stock up on your favorite pasta variety. Keep an eye out for shortages or price increases, as these are often the first signs of tighter supply. And if the shelves are bare, don't forget there are alternative options out there, like rice or noodles made from different grains. Staying flexible in your meal prep will help you ride out any pasta shortages without stress. 2. Canned tomato crisis. Canned tomatoes might not seem like much at first glance, but they're a building block for so many recipes in your kitchen. Soups, stews, chili, pasta sauce, you name it, tomatoes are probably involved. With so much riding on this humble pantry staple, any threat to its availability could be a game changer for home cooks. Unfortunately, supply chain issues suggest that canned tomatoes might be harder to come by in the next month, and here's why. The road from farm to can isn't as simple as you'd think. For starters, tomatoes themselves face growing challenges. Literal climate extremes, freak downpours, scorching heat, and unpredictable frost can all impact tomato harvests. Even when farms are running smoothly, issues like labor shortages can slow down the picking and processing of tomatoes. Add to this the transportation delays plaguing global supply chains, and it's easy to see why canned tomatoes might start disappearing from shelves. The importance of canned tomatoes lies in their ability to completely elevate meals. They bring richness, acidity, and that unmistakable tomato flavor to dishes, while offering a great source of essential vitamins. Plus, they have a long shelf life, which makes them ideal for those looking to build a strong pantry for uncertain times. The beauty of canned tomatoes is their adaptability. You can use them in sauces, soups, or even create your own homemade salsa. To prepare, consider keeping a stash of canned tomatoes in your kitchen. They can keep for years when stored in a cool, dry place, so having a few extra on hand now can save you from frustration later. Can't find canned tomatoes? Don't panic. Tomato-based products like purees, sauces, or even diced fresh tomatoes can serve as alternatives in a pinch. Adjusting your recipes is key to navigating moments of scarcity without sacrificing delicious meals. 3. Olive oil outlook. Few ingredients are as essential and as beloved as olive oil, and yet this everyday cooking staple might face a problematic future in store. Olive oil isn't just a bottle of fat, it's the heart of many dishes, from salad dressings to marinades and sautéed vegetables. However, the complexities of global production and distribution make olive oil very vulnerable to disruptions, and consumers worldwide could soon feel the impact. One major factor affecting olive oil supply is climate change. Olive trees are incredibly particular about their growing conditions, requiring a very specific balance of temperature and rainfall. When this delicate balance is upset, Through extreme heat, drought, or erratic rainfall patterns, olive yields can drop significantly. Countries like Spain, Italy, and Greece, which lead the world in olive oil production, have already reported difficulties due to changing weather conditions. Adding to the trouble are geopolitical tensions in regions that produce or export olives. A single disruption in any one of the key exporting countries can send shockwaves through the market. Transportation challenges also loom large. From port delays to rising shipping costs, timely delivery of olive oil becomes increasingly complicated. Pair all this with growing global demand, fueled by olive oil's health benefits, and it's a perfect storm for potential shortages or price spikes. If olive oil matters to your cooking as much as it does to mine, now is the time to act. Stocking up on an extra bottle or two means peace of mind when shelves start running low. While olive oil can be kept for many months, be mindful to store it in a cool, dark place to maintain its freshness. If shortages do hit, exploring substitutes like sunflower, avocado, or even coconut oil can help bridge the gap in your cooking routine. Many of these options are versatile and can handle a range of dishes, keeping you ready for any culinary challenge. 4. Spice shortage scare. Imagine opening your spice cabinet ready to add a dash of magic to your favorite recipe, only to realize your favorite spices are nowhere to be found on store shelves. Unfortunately, this unsettling scenario could soon become a reality. Spices, the essential little bursts of flavor that elevate every dish, are facing significant production challenges that might make them difficult to find in the near future. One of the major roadblocks for spice production is the unforgiving impact of climate change. Specific spices like cinnamon, turmeric, and black pepper rely heavily on very precise climate conditions. Regions that produce these crops are increasingly experiencing erratic weather patterns, including droughts, unseasonal rainfall, or heat waves, which directly affect the growth and harvest of these delicate crops. Failed or delayed harvests inevitably lead to reduced availability, creating a ripple effect that limits what lands on store shelves. Then there's the labor aspect of spice farming. Many spices require meticulous cultivation and harvesting, often involving manual labor. Growing populations, urban migration, and labor shortages have left farms struggling to maintain their workforce. Without enough skilled hands to plant, harvest, and process spices, production timelines are severely delayed. Pair this with growing global demand for specific spices, and it becomes clear why prices might rise or products might vanish altogether. Another key factor lies in the global nature of the spice trade. Spices are often grown in far-off regions and then shipped around the world. Any issue in this supply chain, be it political unrest, port delays, or freight disruptions, can lead to noticeable gaps in availability. Even a slight holdup in transportation can push back delivery dates, making it harder for consumers to keep their kitchens stocked with essentials like cumin or paprika. Building a strong spice rack now is not just about flavor, it's about being prepared. Stock up on high-demand spices and consider diversifying your collection to include less popular alternatives that can act as substitutes. For instance, if black pepper runs dry, white pepper could work in a pinch. You might even consider growing your own herbs and spices at home if possible, giving you a steady, self-reliant source of fresh ingredients. Taking these steps now could help you maintain culinary creativity, no matter what challenges the global spice market faces. 5. Chocolate crunch. For many of us, chocolate isn't just food, it's an emotional experience. From satisfying midnight cravings to adding joy to celebrations, chocolate holds a special place in our hearts. But here's some bad news for chocolate lovers everywhere. The global chocolate supply chain is under stress and could face serious disruptions in the coming months. At the heart of chocolate production lies a fragile ecosystem of cocoa plants, which are highly sensitive to pests and diseases. Many cocoa farms in Africa and South America, the leading cocoa producing areas, are struggling with these issues. Infestations of pests like the cocoa pod borer can destroy large portions of the crop, while fungal diseases like black pod rot have decimated yields in recent years. These farm-level challenges not only reduce the amount of cocoa available, but also make it harder for farmers to keep up with demand. Layered on top of this is the reality of climate change. Cocoa plants thrive in specific tropical conditions, but rising temperatures and unpredictable weather patterns are threatening their survival. Extended dry spells or intense rainfalls can disrupt cocoa growth cycles, leaving both farmers and chocolate manufacturers scrambling. The situation isn't just about scarcity, it's about quality too. An unstable environment impacts the flavor and richness of cocoa, which in turn affects the chocolates we love. Socioeconomic conditions in cocoa growing regions also heavily impact the global supply. Poor working conditions, lack of fair wages, and limited access to resources leave many farmers unable to invest in sustainable farming practices. Without the right support systems, small-scale farms are vulnerable to collapse, cutting off major sources of cocoa. Ethical sourcing and fair trade practices have never been more crucial in helping these communities thrive and stabilize the global chocolate industry. If you can't imagine life without chocolate, now is the time to take note. Supporting ethical brands that work directly with cocoa farmers can make a meaningful difference. Additionally, consider keeping an extra supply of chocolate goodies in your pantry. Chocolate has a surprisingly long shelf life if stored properly, so whether it's for baking or snacking, it's worth securing your stash now before prices rise or the shelves run bare. 6. Nutty predicament. Who doesn't enjoy a handful of nuts as a midday snack or as a crunchy topping on your favorite dish? While they're often seen as a healthy and convenient choice, nuts might soon become harder to find in stores, and there are some big reasons why. One of the most pressing issues in nut production is water scarcity. Nuts like almonds, walnuts, and pistachios require vast amounts of water to grow, and many of the world's top nut-producing regions, such as California, are facing unprecedented drought. These environmental pressures not only reduce yield, but also force farmers to cut back on the number of crops they plant, directly affecting availability on the global market. Another challenge comes in the form of climate change. Nuts thrive under very specific conditions with stable temperatures and predictable weather. However, extreme heat waves, sudden frosts, or irregular rainfall caused by a changing climate increasingly disrupt growing cycles. The result: smaller crops, lower quality nuts, and greater difficulty in meeting consumer demand. It's not just nature that throws a wrench into nut production. Pests and diseases are significant concerns in large-scale nut farming operations. When the same kind of nut grows across vast areas, it creates the perfect breeding ground for infestations or fungal outbreaks. Without proper mitigation strategies, these issues can spread quickly, wiping out entire harvests in the process. The global supply chain further complicates matters. Nuts are often shipped thousands of miles from farms to processing facilities and then to stores. Any delay or disruption, whether it's due to geopolitical tensions, fuel shortages, or rising transportation costs, affects how quickly nuts can make it to store shelves. This, compounded with a rising global demand for nuts, thanks to their growing reputation as a superfood, creates a perfect storm for scarcity. For anyone who enjoys their daily nut fix, now's the time to prepare. Adding a few extra bags of your favorite nuts to your pantry can help weather any short-term shortages. Don't forget to store them properly. Most nuts can last for months if kept in a cool, dark place or even frozen. And if certain nuts become hard to find, don't hesitate to experiment with alternatives that offer similar textures or flavors. Being flexible and resourceful can make all the difference in keeping nuts on your plate, even when the supply chain feels, well, nuts. 7. The great bean dilemma. Dried beans might not be the fanciest item in your pantry, but they are true workhorses when it comes to versatile, nourishing meals. From hearty soups to chili or even a protein boost in a salad, beans provide an incredible amount of value in every serve. Unfortunately, this vital kitchen staple could soon be in short supply, leaving many households scrambling for alternatives. The key factors causing this potential scarcity lie deep within the farming processes, environmental challenges, and global logistics that bring beans from farm to market. To begin with, soil health plays a massive role in bean cultivation, and it's no secret that modern farming practices haven't always been kind to our land. The overuse of chemical fertilizers, paired with monoculture farming where only one crop is grown repeatedly, has stripped soils of vital nutrients that beans need to flourish. Without sustainable farming techniques like rotating crops or using organic fertilizers, the future of bean farming could face significant hurdles. Another key challenge: pests and diseases. Large-scale bean farms that grow a single type of bean are at greater risk of infestations and outbreaks. For example, a single invasive pest or fungal infestation can wipe out massive fields of beans in no time, leaving producers and consumers in a bind. Additionally, climate change is creating unpredictable weather patterns, from prolonged droughts to sudden floods, which makes it harder than ever to rely on stable bean harvest. When bean crops fail, the ripple effects stretch across the supply chain, leaving shelves emptier, prices higher, and consumers searching for alternatives. To protect your kitchen from the great bean dilemma, consider diversifying your pantry. Stock up on a variety of dried bean types, such as black beans, kidney beans, or lentils, all of which can be stored for years in dry, airtight containers. Not only will you secure a steady protein source, but you'll also add versatility to your cooking repertoire. Many local and sustainable farmers are working hard to keep bean production alive and resilient, so supporting their efforts is another great way to ensure steady availability. Don't wait to make dried beans part of your essential pantry staples. They're too valuable to overlook. 8. Instant coffee's brewing troubles. For millions of people, mornings simply don't start without that first cup of coffee. Instant coffee in particular has become a popular go-to for its unparalleled convenience. It's quick, easy to prepare, and perfect for busy days. Unfortunately, this much-loved daily habit might be under threat as the intricate global web of coffee production faces numerous challenges. If you think instant coffee will always be there on the shelf waiting for you, think again. Its availability could soon become as fragile as a thin ceramic cup. It all starts with the coffee bean. Growing high-quality beans is an art and a science, but both are becoming more difficult due to shifting climate conditions. Coffee plants thrive in very specific environments that rely on stable temperatures, predictable rainfall, and fertile soil. Increasingly erratic weather patterns, longer droughts in some areas, or flooding in others, are forcing traditional coffee-growing regions to adapt rapidly or face declining yield. Some regions are even finding that their once ideal conditions are no longer sufficient for producing high-quality crops. Even after the beans are grown, the process of making instant coffee is far from straightforward. From transporting raw green beans to roasting, grinding, and freeze-drying, there are countless steps in the chain that must go right. Transportation hiccups, whether caused by port delays or geopolitical conflicts, can lead to significant production slowdowns. One missed shipment or logistics delay can send processing pipelines spinning out of sync. Add inflationary pressures, rising costs of production, and growing labor challenges in coffee-producing regions, and you've got the perfect storm brewing for potential shortages. For coffee lovers, the prospect of an instant coffee shortage can feel almost apocalyptic. Now, more than ever, it's a good time to stock up on your favorite blends or explore shelf-stable alternatives like ground coffee or cold brew. Supporting coffee brands that prioritize sustainability and ethical sourcing is also a powerful way to ensure the long-term health of the coffee supply chain. Instant coffee may be a convenient luxury, but its availability is anything but guaranteed. So preparing now will keep your mornings running smoothly no matter what. Honey's buzzing crisis. Honey has been a beloved natural sweetener for centuries, treasured not only for its taste, but also for its multifunctional benefits in the kitchen and beyond. Whether it's drizzled over oatmeal, stirred into a cup of tea, or used as a caramelized glaze for baked goods, honey feels irreplaceable. Unfortunately, the sweet buzz of honey production is facing challenges that could make this liquid gold much harder to come by in the near future. At the heart of the problem is the well-being of bees themselves. These small, industrious creatures are the backbone of honey production, and they're facing immense strain. Climate change has disrupted traditional flowering cycles, leaving bees with less time and fewer resources to collect nectar. Erratic weather patterns, including unseasonal frost or prolonged dry spells, can severely reduce the amount of nectar available, which directly impacts honey yields. Combine this with habitat loss caused by urban expansion and industrial farming, and bees are struggling to keep up with the demand for their golden product. Another critical issue lies within modern agriculture's use of pesticides and chemicals, which can harm bee colonies. Pollutants diminish the health of hives, reducing their population and limiting their ability to thrive. Add to that the rise of pests like varroa mites, and you've got a crisis that affects every stage of honey production. Despite the challenges, there are steps consumers can take to keep honey in their lives without interruption. Start by looking for local, sustainable honey producers, as smaller beekeepers tend to adopt environmentally friendly practices that prioritize bee health. Stocking up on a couple of jars now can also safeguard your pantry against fluctuating availability. Honey, when stored properly in a cool, dry place, lasts almost indefinitely and remains a versatile powerhouse in your kitchen. For those who love the unique flavors and natural sweetness only honey can provide, supporting pollinator-friendly initiatives and sustainable farming practices is key. Even planting a small garden with pollinator-friendly flowers can contribute to the well-being of bees. By acting now to support bees and their keepers, you can help ensure that honey remains on our shelves and in our recipes for years to come. 10. The Canned Fish Challenge. Canned fish is a pantry hero for its convenience, nutritional value, and long shelf life. From tuna to sardines, these options have been staples for salads, sandwiches, and more for years. But don't take it for granted. This humble essential is in danger of becoming harder to find. The challenges span the entire process, from catching fish to getting those familiar cans onto store shelves. And unfortunately, these supply chain issues aren't going away anytime soon. One of the biggest culprits behind the potential shortage of canned fish is overfishing. For decades, high demand for fish products has pushed the boundaries of sustainable fishing practices. Some marine ecosystems are now at risk, with fish populations dwindling due to overexploitation. Without stricter fishing quotas and better enforcement to protect these habitats, supply issues will worsen as certain species become scarcer. The pressure to meet demand is putting a strain not only on the oceans, but also on the people and processes responsible for bringing canned fish to your table. Climate change further complicates the canned fish situation. Rising sea temperatures, disruptions in ocean currents, and altered ecosystems all impact where fish species thrive and how abundantly they are caught. And when fish stocks shift due to these changes, fishing communities must adapt quickly, something not easy or affordable for many. Add to this the unpredictable effects of natural disasters, and you've got a highly unstable supply chain. That's not all. Even after fish are caught, the processing and canning stages face their own hurdles. From facilities dealing with labor shortages to rising transportation costs, the entire system feels stress at every step. International trade regulations and tariffs can also lead to delays, restricting the flow of products across borders. These layers of challenges directly affect what's available in stores and how much you'll pay for it. If canned fish is a staple in your household, now's the time to secure some extra tins. They're perfect for emergency stocks and everyday use, offering valuable protein and omega-3 fatty acids. Supporting brands that advocate sustainable fishing practices is also a proactive choice, one that contributes to preserving fish populations for future generations. When supply catches up with demand, we'll all reap the benefits. Until then, a little preparedness can go a long way. 11. A dried fruit dilemma. Dried fruits are small but mighty snacks, packed with nutrition and flavor. These sweet treats are a favorite for busy mornings, hiking trips, or enhancing a variety of dishes. But with shifts in climate patterns and farming obstacles on the rise, this snack aisle staple might not be immune to shortages. It's becoming increasingly clear that behind every packet of raisins, apricots, or dried mango is a complex, fragile process, vulnerable to disruption. At the root of the dried fruit supply chain are the farms that grow the fresh produce these snacks come from, but growing conditions are becoming less predictable than they used to be. Climate change has introduced erratic weather patterns, such as droughts and unseasonal rains that threaten fruit yields. For fruits to be suitable for drying, they need to be harvested at their peak. Weather disruptions can lead to smaller, less ripe harvests, which in turn affect the final product. To address this instability, farms must adopt sustainable agricultural practices, something that takes time, resources, and major investment. Once the fruit is grown and harvested, the drying process comes into play. Whether using traditional sun-drying methods or advanced dehydration techniques, consistency is key to ensuring the right taste, texture, and shelf life. But interruptions at this stage can easily arise, whether it's due to equipment maintenance issues or labor shortages. Even the smallest delays can cause a ripple effect, hindering the availability of dried fruits in store. Transportation and logistics also make up a vital link in getting dried fruits from the farm to your pantry. Longer transportation distances often increase the chance of delays, spoilage, or price fluctuations along the way. A single holdup at a port or distribution center can create backlogged orders, leaving store shelves bare for weeks. Coupled with global trade dynamics, including tariffs and new economic policies, maintaining maintaining a steady supply becomes an uphill battle. For those who love the versatility of dried fruits, now's a good time to consider stocking up. They're not just snacks, they can round out breakfasts, desserts, and savory dishes alike. Look out for locally sourced options, as these tend to be less affected by international trade issues. By buying ahead and exploring less common varieties, you can keep enjoying your favorites while navigating any potential disruptions in supply. 12. Breakfast cereal breakdown. It's hard to imagine the breakfast aisle without the endless boxes of cereals lining the shelf. From classic cornflakes to granola, breakfast cereals have long been a household staple. They're convenient, quick, and cater to all taste buds, making them an essential part of busy morning. But if current trends persist, these go-to breakfast items might not always be as accessible as we're used to. The production of cereals starts with grains like wheat, oats, and corn, ingredients that are heavily impacted by weather conditions. Unpredictable shifts in temperature, prolonged droughts, or unexpected rainfall can severely affect crop yields in major farming regions. A poor harvest for even one of these grains creates a chain reaction, as they're not only needed for cereals but other food products as well. When crops don't meet the demand, competition increases, often driving up prices or leaving shelves empty. The challenge doesn't stop with farming. The grains must go through complex processing stages to become the cereals we love. Modern production methods like baking, puffing, or extruding grains rely heavily on advanced technology and a skilled workforce. Interruptions, whether due to equipment downtime or labor shortages, can easily slow production schedule. Additionally, maintaining high safety and quality standards isn't negotiable, and deviations in supply can push manufacturers to pause operations temporarily, further delaying availability. Another factor contributing to possible shortages is packaging and distribution. Cereal manufacturers rely on a steady flow of supply chain logistics to ensure their products reach supermarkets on time. Problems with transportation networks, such as port delays, fuel cost increases, or storage issues, can cause gaps in supply. With growing consumer demand for innovative cereals, whether organic, gluten-free, or made with unique ingredients, the pressure on producers and distributors grows even more intense. For cereal enthusiasts, a little preparation can go a long way. Stocking up on your family's favorite cereals now might save you from scrambling later. You could also explore do-it-yourself breakfast options like homemade granola, which can offer similar flavors and textures without the dependence on commercial supply chain. Adapting and staying informed will ensure breakfast stays the most important meal of the day, even in uncertain times.